Good morning, everybody. It's Nigel Giam here, Lead Training Program Director for the St Mary's Scheme and AKT and RCA Trainer for HEE London. I'm really happy to have EeLyn here on MentorMRCGP. So I first started teaching EeLyn, oh my goodness, I think it was back in 2019 for the old CSA. So it's been a massive journey, and so happy to say that she's now smashed the RCA and will CCT on the 19th of June, which happens to be my birthday. It's a very auspicious date. EeLyn, welcome. Very good to see you again.
Thank
How
you.
have you been
Thanks
keeping? You must be very happy. What a journey.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
stressful,
so just
but yeah.
Stressful, but rewarding. And we got there in the end. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you were kind of caught up in the old system, all prepped up to do the CSA. And then obviously the pandemic hit. What were the main challenges for you with regards to the RCA?
Well, I suppose, like you said, we were preparing for CSA, and I was just a week away from my exam actually, when they decided it has to be stopped, and we didn't have any news about what's going to be taken place. Yes. So we just continued working until a few months before I'm supposed to finish. They came up with this RCA. So having to change how we approach the exam, which was completely new, and that was the biggest challenge for us, really. For me.
Exactly. But, well, I mean, the CSA is not the RCA, is it? And so unfortunately, the kind of model we might apply in a standardized setting for the CSA doesn't apply to the RCA at all. Patients don't fit nice little boxes. Now, you did have a couple of attempts where unfortunately you didn't quite make it. What do you think were the main changes that allowed you to kind of pass this time round? What were the game changers for you?
Well, I would have to say having a different mindset completely. I mean, it is a different exam altogether, and approaching it the same way that we were previously, it didn't help at all. So after having failed twice for the RCA, I came to you for the RCA specific course, and that's where I learned how to be an examiner. I used your marking scheme that you gave us during the course, and I have it in front of me for all my consultation. But of course, after a while, you get the hang of it, and you don't need it anymore. And yeah, I think you have to learn. You need a different skill. And that is to be an examiner, unfortunately.
Well, actually, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So just being very objective in how you mark, we've kind of touched on this with several of the other candidates who've come through MentorMRCGP in terms of the interviews. In terms of your kind of case selection, obviously in the CSA, you would have been preparing for cases that are pre-selected for you. The RCA, you are now selecting your cases. What do you think changed in terms of your case selection between your previous attempts and this most successful attempt?
To be fair, when I first started recording, I wasn't selecting anything specific because we have mandatory cases, but because I've just started, so I don't have any case at all. So I just go in with a clean slate. And during your course, you mentioned about how you had your surgery has this online system, and every morning you and your trainee will cherry pick cases and discuss the angle, that sort of thing, and then your trainee get to do the recording. So my surgery, we don't have that system. So I sort of learned from what you said and did a modified version for myself. So I depend on the booking note from the reception. And I try to look at, I spend about 2 minutes before I call the patient. I try to go through the notes, try to look for an angle, have a checklist of things that I want to bring up into the discussion within the 12 minutes, and then I call the patient. So that was the other thing that I learned during your course, really.
So case priming, we've talked so much about case priming, haven't we, and not going blind, but actually having a strategy. And in terms of just the mix in terms of audio and videos, with this particular submission, what was the kind of mix of audio to videos that you were doing?
I submitted all 13 audio, actually.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's good. Okay.
I tried doing video, but my patient, bless them, they were so helpful. They ended up taking a lot more time than what I was given. So I didn't manage to do any video.
Okay, so it can still obviously be done even if we're submitting over audio. Well, look, well done. I'm so happy for you. any sort of closing messages for those who are having to sit this autumn or having to resit? Obviously, you've managed to get through this. It has been very stressful, but you've come out, you're smiling, which is the most important thing. How do we keep that smile? How do we keep that energy going for those who have to resit this autumn?
Well, I've listened to some of the previous trainees that you've recorded in this series, and I would have to say I agree with their top tips and whatnot. So instead of me repeating the same things, I was thinking if I can discuss, maybe share a different angle, which helped me actually. So after having failed twice, it actually didn't make sense to me, because I have a wonderful trainer, a good practice that I was in, and everyone was surprised that I actually failed, because they've already offered me a salaried role. We thought I was gonna smash it, but I unfortunately didn't. So I did a little bit of soul searching after having failed twice to understand what's going on. And then I found out that, I realized that I don't like seeing myself on video or hearing my voice on the recording. I think intensely dislike. So I think that might have impacted on my ability to assess myself. So when I look into it, I realized that there are studies into why people dislike the way they sound on recording. Interestingly, they find that because when we are talking, apart from hearing your own voice, you're feeling the vibration of your speech. But when you're listening to a recording, you are listening the way everyone's listening to your voice. Just the voice without the vibration. And that's what made it weird. And that was a eureka moment for me, really, because in terms of timeline, I attended your course. I had this revelation, if you will. And then subsequently, I realized that I was able to listen to my own recording a bit better. Just being aware that I have this dislike for hearing my voice, this awareness, this validation that I'm not weird, this is normal. And that sort of made me find peace and accept myself in a way. So I find that maybe taking a step back, and if you're having to sit this exam repeatedly, maybe taking a step back to understand if you're doing something unconsciously or not doing something unconsciously that is impacting on your performance, that might be helpful, I would say.
Well, I think that is fantastic, actually, that you were able to get that validation for yourself and not be too tough on yourself. And actually that insight and self-awareness has obviously really, really paid off. EeLyn, absolute pleasure to have you back here after 3 years. It's finally done.
Finally.
I really wish you all the best, and look forward to keeping in touch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without attending your course and all the help that I get with my TPTs and my trainers here.
Thank you. Take care. So a massive thanks to EeLyn for her insight with regards to where she felt she fell down in her previous sittings, and actually really insightful that she recognized that it's important to validate where we are with this. Failure will often make us feel, really quite down, and just taking a step back and seeing where you may have gone wrong, just recognizing that actually how you present yourself across audio and how you perceive to present yourself, so very, very important. So massive congratulations to her. And again, just highlighting the importance of how you go about looking and cherry picking that consultation. Again, if we go back to Global Competency 4 around poor choice of consultation, if your consultation is of low challenge, when it's a straightforward clinical problem that doesn't require much in terms of clinical skills and competencies, or doesn't address a new problem, then your marking will be compromised. So do make sure that you abide by college guidance around case selection to optimize your success in the RCA. Very good to have you on again. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Do make sure that you check the website for up-to-date resources on MentorMRCGP.com, and do hit the YouTube channel so that you can have a look at the previous interviews. All right, enjoy this lovely, lovely day. Do take care. See you on the next one. Many thanks.